Can't afford a home? Well, is this tiny home a solution for you? Nova Scotia is investing $9.4 million into building 52 tiny homes. Now, this is being done in an effort to help the housing crisis, but is it actually going to do anything? I'm going to bust it down in this video and give you all of my issues and see if it's a viable solution. Issue number one, the prices of these little tiny homes are fucking insane at $180,000 per home. 9.4 million divided by 52, $180,000 per house. Now, the average cost for a tiny home built by a private contractor or private citizen is about $50,000, and Tesla is even experimenting with getting their tiny homes priced as low as $15,000. Now, this is just classic Canada, classic bureaucracy where permits and construction costs and paperwork and blah, 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 tax, red tape, all get in the way, making the price of housing so goddamn expensive. Now, they haven't released the entire full package or the full budget because it's Canada, and they never will because we never show our books like the good old USA.
The budget will balance itself.
I guarantee we won't get the full breakdown of this budget ever. But being a real estate investor who's purchased over 150 properties, being in the building industry, being a carpenter by trade, I can only speculate that like 3/4 of this $180 per house budget is going to permit fees, drawings, and just city construction fees. This is single-handedly the biggest reason why we have a housing crisis in Canada and we don't have this in the United States. For example, to build a single family house, just one, costs approximately $17,000 in DC charges and permit fees, and can take up to 9 to 12 months in most municipalities to get approval to actually build that house.
Made purchasing a suitable home a challenge, so they chose a pre-construction home purchased from Mattamy Homes in March 2022 at the peak of the housing frenzy. Set for completion this year, it's time to figure out financing, and they face a major hurdle.
Now, on the flip side, where we're investing in Florida, if we want to build the exact same single family house, we can get permits usually in 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, weeks, not months, weeks to build a house. And the permits can cost as little as $300 to $500, not $17,000. Look, no surprise, but especially with the liberal government in charge, it is just all about tax, carbon tax, this tax, house tax, property tax, vacant tax, too many taxes. Issue number two, the project is going to cost $935,000 per year to keep this, I don't know, glorified campground running. So that's $18,000 a year per tiny house or $1,500 a month for essentially condo fees. So in these condo fees, it'll cover snow, grass, water, etc. Most things you see when you live in a townhouse in most municipalities. But $1,500 a month, yo, am I getting a pool table, a tennis court, a pickleball court? I better be getting all that shit, and I guarantee you're not. Now, the average condo fee in townhomes where I live in Kitchener-Waterloo is about $300 to $400 a month, and it ain't got no pickleball court either. So again, this is just a giant misuse of government taxes. So even in the United States, where we have an HOA, a homeowners association, which is kind of sounding what like this is like to maintain the roads and keep the area looking nice, landscape, keep the flowers looking all good, you would never, ever pay $1,500 a month for just the basic. The average HOA fee in Texas, where it's the most popular, is about $25 to $30 a month, maybe $50 a month. If these neighborhoods in America were told their HOA fee is $1,500 a month, they would revolt with their guns, which is why it never happens down there. But in Canada, we tolerate anything. I mean, just look at the previous past couple years and what they did to us Canadians, and we all sat back, bent over, and took it.
Don't forget to wear your mask.
Issue number three. So what's the point of all this? It's to stop homelessness, to fix homelessness in Nova Scotia. But in order to qualify and live in this glorified campground, it's going to be 30% of your income for rent. That's right. They're going to take whatever income you got and take 30% of it government style. So this idea really isn't too bad for young people, young Gen Zs trying to start off and get ahead in life and get ahead in the housing market. But this really doesn't help the homeless because they don't have money and they're not going to qualify. But this project is really geared and angled towards helping homeless people, but they don't got no money. A for-profit government project? This sounds a lot like government housing. Well, really glorified government housing at its core. Issue number 4, tiny homes are built fast from the private sector, not from the government, but it doesn't solve the problem of we need so much more housing and we need to go vertical not across. Now with these tiny homes, they're just single-story little homes and can only house really 1 to 2 people. This is not going to help the giant supply issue that we have in Canada. We need so many more homes, and we need to go up because we really can't go out because Canada is so goddamn gigantic. And with the Canadian Shield making it really hard to build on for like the majority of Canada, that's why the majority of the population is housed in Lower Ontario, really from Toronto and under. And are we going vertical in those areas especially? Not really. See, Dubai has really solved this issue, a very dense, very small populated area, but they're building their skyscrapers so tall, housing so many people, really helping the supply issue, which there really is none in Dubai, and providing so much more housing. See, we need to take a page out of Dubai's book. Now, I know, maybe not in Nova Scotia, we're gonna build the Burj Khalifa and stuff like that, but definitely in Montreal, in Toronto, maybe in smaller major cities like Kitchener-Waterloo, we really gotta start bringing this infrastructure in, rather than just being obsessed with building single-family homes and, God forbid, these stinky little tiny homes. The government is definitely better off building homes taller to fit more people to help with the supply issue, rather than doing this little project that is really just winning political points. You know, political theater. Something Justin Trudeau's an expert at? Yeah, that's right, because he was a drama teacher. This entire project sounds like an idea that came from a 6th grader. We can do better than that, right guys? Issue number 5, slow timelines. The plan is to build 30 homes by the fall and the remaining 30 homes in the spring so that people can be housed by next summer. Guys, it takes a whole year to build 50 tiny homes. The private industry, private contractors, guys like you and me could build this much, much faster. The reality is this country was built on the private sector. You may not know this, but about 95% of the rental housing that's available all across Canada, yeah, who do you think owns that? The private sector, and specifically the majority of that is mom and pops. Just small-time investors, people you never heard of, people like me who have rental properties. That's who owns the vast majority of rental housing in this country. It's not corporations, it's just mom and pop real estate investors. And we know how to get shit done if you incentivize us, which is the whole major problem to the housing crisis in this country. The taxes are way too high. Why would we ever invest here when people like me could simply invest in Florida and Texas, do the exact same job I'm doing here, and get paid a 30% raise? Well, that's exactly what's happening. All the who's who, all the great real estate investors are saying bye-bye Canada and going to the US because they're getting a 30% raise immediately. If you could do the exact same job, would you do it? Yes, you would. Because we desperately need supply when we can just go build properties in Idaho, Ohio, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, all great states, all very low tax states. And last but not least, the goddamn cherry on top of why we have a true housing crisis, and you might not want to admit it, is the landlord-tenant board. It is so pro-tenant. Why would an investor like me ever want to hold housing in this country when a tenant could not pay rent for months and months and months and totally get away with it over a year in a lot of cases, get away with it with no consequences, and do it again to someone else immediately? This is criminal, and I tell you, real estate investors are way smarter than the general public. Why? We have the money. We know what to do with our money. And why would we invest it here? We'll go invest it in Florida and Texas, where if a tenant doesn't pay rent, they're gone in 30 days maximum. No appeals, no this, no stories, gone. You didn't pay rent, gone. Now, let me know any other industry where you could not pay your dues and get away with it. Rogers, for example, if you didn't pay your phone bill, what happens after 30 days? Can you appeal? Can you appeal to the court? No, your phone is done. That new Ford F-150, if you don't pay your bill, what happens after 30 days, 60 days? That truck is gone. No more car. Literally any other industry, you can't pull this shit. But in housing, for the mom and pops that own these properties that so desperately rely on the rent to pay their mortgage, and if you don't pay it, they go bankrupt, you lose your house again, this is an atrocity. This is why we have such a low supply of housing, and especially low supply of rental housing. Nobody wants to be a landlord in this country, which leads to my final issue. The tiny home costs $180,000, 167 square feet, whatever this place is going to be. Or did you know the properties we're buying with our partners in Texas also cost $180,000? However, it is a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 2-bath detached house with a garage. Yeah, no lie. That's what we're buying in Texas. And the rents, about $1,800 to $2,000 a month, almost as much as Canada. However, for the same house in Canada to garner $2,000 a month, we're looking at about $600,000 to $700,000.
I wonder where I should invest my money, not in Canada.
Anyway, if you're a Canadian and you're sick of the housing market and you also want to invest your money in real estate because you understand the benefits of real estate, however, it's just impossible pretty much to invest in Canada and you want to go to the US like me and so many others, check out the link below. I have a free course teaching you exactly how to invest in the US as a Canadian citizen. It is totally free. I give it all to you away for free because my courses rock. I want you to see how good they are, so maybe you purchase the other ones. But this one is totally free. Check it out. I'll see you in the next video.